Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Tin Man's Core channel. I'm your host, Jeffrey Tin Man Taylor, and today I'm finishing off my Chill and Scares marathon for you guys. And the video I'll be starting off with today is 8 most disturbing things caught on doorbell camera footage. And this is actually volume 2. So without further ado, I'm going to turn these lights off, move the camera up here for you guys, and let's get this reaction on the road into the bag. Okay, here we go.
This first video was captured in the middle of the night in an apartment complex located in Toledo, Ohio. The doorbell footage shows a man knocking on the front door with what looks like a firearm in his waistband. Now, the owner of the apartment didn't recognize the man, so she would question who it was. The unknown man would simply respond with, "It's me." The homeowner would then further question his response, but rather than clarifying, he would simply give a wave through the front door.
Me. I'm sorry, but if I don't know you, I'm not answering the door, and I'm not taking "it's me" as a serious answer. And if I see a gun in his waistband of his pants, I'll be calling the cops by now and telling them to leave.
This, however, would not be enough to get the homeowner to open it, so he would ultimately walk off. Disturbingly, as he does so, a second man pops up from a nearby dumpster and also walks off.
You see that? Just when he walks by right here, there's a guy wearing a striped-looking hoodie right there. Yeah, that guy was probably his eyes and ears looking out to make sure nobody won't patrol in the area like cops, or somebody sees him and calls the cops on him. But if he did get the door to answer, he would have probably bolted in there with him. I mean, if you were burglarizing a place, you wouldn't be just knocking on the door just so you could try to get in. That's stupid. There's a lot of criminals now that don't think about what they're doing, and they get in trouble easy.
But this wouldn't be the end of it. The two would then walk around to the back door where they would attempt to pick its lock. The police were called, and when they arrived, the two were gone. Fortunately, unsuccessful in getting the door open. It's not 100% clear what the two men had planned. The almost empty-looking backpack of the first guy suggests they had planned to rob the place, but it's also possible they had much worse intentions. The two of them have yet to be identified by police.
And that sucks too, because one guy's wearing a face mask to conceal his identity. And I would agree with Chill and Scares here, because it looked like with the empty backpack they were planning on trying to break in and rob the place. But if he had a gun, he was planning on shooting somebody if they didn't comply. Man, I wish them cops would have got there quicker than they could have got him and arrested them. But no, these guys are just too darn quick in escaping.
In May of 2018, a woman would leave her parked car that was just outside her house unlocked overnight. Not surprisingly, someone would find the unlocked car and proceed to steal multiple items that were owned by the woman. A few hours later, the man responsible for the theft would be caught on the woman's doorbell camera attempting to use her set of keys that he had just stolen to unlock her house's front door.
This is why you should not leave your cars unlocked. Somebody could just be walking around like this guy did and open it up and take stuff. And this guy ain't being smart because the doorbell camera can see his face clearly.
This all took place while the house owner was home and sleeping, but luckily the set of keys he had stolen didn't have a house key on it, so the guy just ended up walking off. Had the set of keys contained a house key, things most likely would have ended much differently.
Oh yeah, I agree. He probably would have got in, stole some stuff. But yeah, this is scary. This woman should have realized that she left some keys in her car, and she should have went back out there to get them and locked her car before this guy showed up. Then he wouldn't have nothing to steal. Simple.
This doorbell camera footage was captured in Overland Park, Kansas in March of 2017. Shown in the video is a nearby active house fire. The home of the neighbor just across the street has been completely engulfed in flames. As the fire department arrives, neighbors can be seen desperately moving their parked cars away from the house.
I mean, I would be too, because I don't want that fire spreading and hitting my car. But then again, if it did, you can replace that. But man, I'd be evacuating the area completely, because if they can't contain it, the fire could spread and hit one of the houses. And that thing's ablazing.
Eventually, a flaming piece of debris can be seen falling and landing on a set of bushes just in front of the camera.
Oh Lord. Yeah, I can see it flaming up a little bit on the bottom here. You probably can't see it down there.
The bushes quickly burst into flames. The fire starts spreading quickly, but before it's able to get out of hand, a neighbor notices it and attempts to put it out.
There you
Grabs
go.
a garden hose and sprays the fire while pressing the house's doorbell. However, the owner of the house isn't home and frantically tries to communicate this through the doorbell speaker.
Man, where's the owner at? If they hear the ring doorbell camera speaker thing going off, like somebody wants to talk to you, they need an answer. But I'm glad these neighbors sprung into action and grabbed water hose quick and try to put that fire out.
Hello, yes, I'm not there. Please put that out for me, please. I'm on my way home. Out the bar! Yeah, I did. I'm on my way. That's somebody talking. He's in the house right now. He's in the house right now.
In the end, the fire department would be able to put out the house fire, and with the help from the neighbors, prevent it from spreading to nearby houses.
That's good. I don't know why that guy just kept hitting the door, and the guy clearly said that he was on the way home, but I suppose the speaker was so low he couldn't hear him. But I'm glad his neighbors acted quick and got the smaller flames out before they started spreading to the other bushes and homes.
On a night in September of 2021, a homeowner would get a suspicious knock on his door at about 3 in the morning. Upon opening his phone and looking at his doorbell camera, he would see two what looked like teenagers identifying themselves as CPD, or Columbus Police Department.
Yeah, no, they're not Columbus Police Department, because if they were, he wouldn't be pulling his friend over to the side and pointing out to the camera and say, "You see that?" I mean, if they see you covered with a mask, they know you're not police department and you don't have no police car outside. I wouldn't let these guys in.
CPD, open up. We need to ask you a couple questions.
The video shows the man in the front clearly holding a firearm, and the house owner would eventually access the doorbell camera's speaker to further question him.
Can I help you?
CPD, we need to ask you a couple questions.
I'm sorry?
CPD, we need to ask you a couple questions. May you please step to the front door, please?
CPD.
Yes, this is CPD. We would like you to step to the door, please.
Can I see a badge?
We would like you to step to the door, please, sir. I don't have to show you my badge, sir.
The man refuses to show a badge because, well, obviously he doesn't have one. The homeowner knew what was going on, so rather than stepping to the door, he would call the real police department and report 2 armed men at his front door. After a couple of minutes, the two would once again attempt to get the homeowner to open the door. But after that failed, they would run off before the real police could show up.
I figured they would, because they don't want to be caught trying to rob somebody. And also, if he said, I don't need to show you my badge, that's like automatic red flag right there. I mean, every cop should show their badge if they're like undercover or even in uniform, if people ask. I'm glad he did the right thing and just called the real cops. So here's a little advice. If somebody comes up to your door wearing a mask like that, and they said they're police officers, don't fall for it, because then you open up the door, they'll pull a gun on you and rob you, or probably possibly even kill you just to get inside the house. Call the real cops.
CPD, open the door.
He's not going to do it, buddy.
The two were most likely just looking to rob the man when he opened the door. But, I mean, it's possible they had worse intentions in mind. There's just no way of knowing for sure. Both of them were never identified by police.
Which sucks. Wish they got caught.
This footage was captured in Colorado in the middle of the night. The video shows 3 mountain lions appearing from the darkness and starting to walk around a set of houses. They were captured, even going as far as to walk up onto the porch of one of the houses. Mountain lion sightings are known to be exceptionally rare in this specific area. Typically, they'll stay a lot further in the mountains where they have easier access to the deer that they prey on. To see them in an area with a lot of people, especially a neighborhood, is not at all common, at least in this area. The 3 cats would eventually walk off, but there's almost no doubt things would have gone differently had one of these homeowners left their pets outside for the night, or possibly were even outside themselves.
That would be scary, just to see a group of the mountain lions showing up on your porch, on your doorbell camera. At this point, I'll be calling either police or animal control and see if they could get them back into the mountains. Imagine if somebody was walking on the street at night and these mountain lions were right there. They could have seen them and ran and pounced on them.
Shown in this doorbell camera footage is an unknown man wearing an oddly disturbing mask. As he walks up to the door, his motion alerts the camera to start recording. And that's when you can see him grab the door handle, realize it's locked, and hesitantly knock on the door.
Looks like he's wearing one of those cheap plastic Halloween masks you buy at like a Dollar General or Walmart or even Spirit Halloween. But he really looks creepier with the glasses on him.
The man would wait for only a few seconds before he would pull his sleeve over his hand and wipe off his fingerprints from the door handle before walking off.
I mean, if you didn't want your fingerprints on the door handle, you should have wore gloves. Or don't even touch the door with your bare hands at all.
Around a minute later, the homeowner would come to the door and now see the man across the street sitting in a car. When she yelled out to him to see what he wanted, he would quickly speed off. The homeowner would later state that she had no idea who this man could have been, or what he was doing there. But the fact that he removed his own fingerprints from the door handle suggests that he had most likely given them to the police at some point. It's not completely unreasonable to conclude that this man had some sort of criminal record. Something else of note is the somewhat heavy object that can be seen weighing down his front pocket. It's not clear what this is, and more importantly, it's not clear who this man is. The mask would ultimately make it impossible for police to identify both the man's identity and his intentions.
Well, I can tell you for a fact he was probably planning on breaking into this place to rob them. And the fact that he was wiping his fingerprints off, he might have been a first-time offender and he didn't want to get caught and have his fingerprints on record. But then again, he might have had a record before and he didn't want to get caught again. You just don't know.
This doorbell footage was recorded just before 4 a.m. on a night in August 2020. The video captures an unidentified man walking in front of a house and emptying a gas container over the yard and front porch. Shortly after he disappears off screen, a large fire erupts just in front of the camera. No one would be injured during the incident. However, unfortunately, 2 houses and a vehicle would be damaged. The homeowner would claim to have no idea who could be responsible, or who would even consider doing this to them. At least from an outside perspective, the act looks completely random, with seemingly no reason behind it, making the clip all the more unsettling.
Like you said, it was probably just a random arson fire that guy planned out. Like he didn't know him personally, he just wanted to burn down somebody's property. But if I caught him on my security camera doing that, I'd be like, hey, you better be thinking twice before you throw a match down on that gasoline. Get out of here before I call the cops. But that's just wrong and sad that these people lost their homes over a stupid arson.
A homeowner in Texas would wake up one morning to find the gate into his backyard wide open. Curious, the man would review the cameras he had around his house, and this is the sight he was met with.
Oh, heck no.
A man holding a knife and in a clown costume, complete with the suit and mask, casually walks around the property, looking inside the house and testing all the doors. This would all, of course, take place in 2016, during that sort of killer clown craze that went on for a few months.
I figured.
Looking back, most people that participated in that were most likely just having fun trying to scare people. But there's no denying that others took advantage of the situation, genuinely attempting some pretty horrible crimes hidden under a clown mask, with this likely being one of those cases. It's clear the person in the costume is actually trying to break into the house with a knife. Though, after being unsuccessful, the clown would eventually walk off, and despite a police report, that would be the end of it. Ultimately, the homeowner would be left with nothing but this disturbing footage.
No, I don't think he was planning on pulling that clown prank on them homeowners. No, he was planning on trying to break in and maybe murder them with that knife. I don't know. That would be disturbing for sure if I saw that on my camera, but it's people like that that give clowns a bad reputation. But anyway, that's going to be it for now. Don't forget to like, subscribe, turn on those post notifications for more scares content like this. This has been another successful installment of the Tin Man Score channel. I'm your host, Jeffrey Tin Man Taylor. I say that's a wrap, and have a good weekend, everybody.